All right, everyone, we are supposedly live. Of course, we have to make sure that's actually the case. Before we have more people watching us than Joe Biden gets on the official White House channel. By the way, I will be briefly addressing Rumble as well, and Trump getting on that platform. But just a moment while I wait for myself to show up in the other tab. Yeah, I'm actually there. All right, we are now live. Just a second, so I have to resize this. Yeah, there we go. It's mostly better anyway. Yeah, fuck it, whatever. Anyway, I figured first and foremost, before I get into the normal Q&A, super chats are on. Keep in mind, I'll primarily be responding to that. This is the Q&A hour. Basically, I do once a week for those that aren't familiar. Trump has joined Rumble as a platform. And so if you're not on Rumble, you should definitely be joining it. He had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people watching the one video that he's got on there. He's got, I think, 180,000 subscribers now, and it wasn't even 170 this morning. So he's already blown Biden out of the water in every possible way, shape, and form. And I'm getting some complaints about the audio. So just a moment. I think I can still change the settings on here. It might be trying to use just a sec. Okay, testing. That should be considerably better. Is that better audio? Can you tell me in chat? So slow mode is on, but has that improved the audio? Better? Okay. Yeah, I figured that. Unfortunately, it was trying to use my internal microphone. Oops. Really great first minute introduction there by me. My tech Ludditism. So now you can clank. I don't have a spoon at hand, so the next best thing, just use a pen. It's not heresy as long as you're clanking. Desert Hamster, you should stream dog fights. Yeah, that used to be actually that, and cockfights used to be problematic on YouTube. There were quite a few animal abuse videos, actually. I used to scroll around and try to down them. Sometimes people would have like generic webcam titles for it and stuff. God, I must have reported hundreds and hundreds of videos. Most of which were from Latin America, by the way. Dogfighting mostly from Asia. I don't know why. Guess it's a dinner and a show. But yes, this is mainly going to be Q&A. And so I'll be reading out super chats. Again, the only reason I'm doing that, it's not even so much the money, is just there will be too many people commenting, because usually we have like twice as many people as Joe Biden gets. I had a similar audience to what the Young Turks get with their millions and millions of apparent supposed subscribers. Go to all of the legacy media channels, and some of them, they'll have like 5 million people following them, and they regularly upload them, and nobody watches their fucking videos. Like, look at the Associated Press channel. They're doing something wrong. It's called lying all the time. Trump's right testicle. Do you have girthy, veiny toes? Love you. My toes are reasonably normal, I guess. Actually, the second smallest toe on both feet is at a 45-degree angle. It's slightly deformed, and that's actually my mom's fault, because she used to put me in tight shoes as a kid. I don't know why she insisted on doing that, but it's just sort of a thing. The cat's trying to jump up here. I really don't want you jumping up on this side, kitty. Please go around. Go around. Please go around. She's not going to listen to me. She's a cat. I don't even know why I bother. Liz trying to call her over. Opinionated junkie. Steven Crowder debating college students is more beneficial in a real-world sense than debating a YouTuber who wants clout. Crowder in society, gain zero. Well, Crowder doesn't even really try to debate in the change my mind segments. The thing is that Ethan Klein challenged him to a debate, and Crowder accepted. I think that Ethan Klein didn't expect him to accept. I think he got blindsided, and he's like, oh, shit. I can't debate Crowder. I'll look like an idiot. So he had Sam Cedar show up. By the way, that reflects badly on Sam Cedar as well for actually going along with it. Doesn't it make him look just as sleazy as Ethan Klein? Because he's trying to claim clout over it too. It's horseshit. This is how the left debates, through shenanigans, because they can't actually hold a regular conversation, because their worldview is objectively boring and stupid and has been completely debased throughout the last century. Adherent of Lady Columbia, thoughts in teaching communism is evil in Florida. In one sense, communism's evil must be shown, but I don't like the state teaching moral values. I actually agree. That's why it should be just objective, straight teaching. Talk about the death toll, talk about the problems that communism has had, By the way, teach about all the warmongering and imperialism of the communist countries, especially in the 60s and 70s. China invaded Vietnam multiple times. The Vietnamese and Pol Pot were fighting. The idea that the West is imperialist and the East always got along because of Confucius or something is completely wrong too. That being said, that would be more historically accurate than critical race theory, which is ahistorical nonsense. For those not aware, I made a video 2 days ago debunking every one of the 5 main precepts of CRT as stated by its own academic proponents. So they've got 5 basic points beyond the simply everything systemically racist canard, and 2 of the points refute themselves. The other 3, one of them admits to Marxism, which is something you're not going to see. One of my videos tomorrow is a Yahoo story. And they're trying to whitewash critical race theory. Not one legacy media report defending it has ever pointed out the fact that it is an objectively correct statement that Marxism influenced it. It is admitted to by its own proponents. Michael Johnson, $5, no comment, thank you. Oh, it jumped again. It does this all the fucking time. Cold Summer 91, what do you think of company towns coming to Nevada? Facebook is interested in starting one. Well, let them. If people want to go suffer living in Facebookville, it's their right. It's voluntary association. They shouldn't be able to export that basic methodology to the actual platforms because they shouldn't be protected under 230 if they're not going to act like them. But yeah, if you want to live in a company town with the benefits inherent potentially there, private security, private everything, and privatization is a good thing, go ahead. John McKinney, will Tulsi Gabbard remain a Democrat or become a Republican? She'll remain a Democrat. She'll be like Manchin. If GOP wins the midterms, they will. Do you think they'll impeach Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Anthony Fauci? Well, they can't impeach Fauci because he's not an elected official. They may attempt to impeach Biden and Harris, but it'd be a mistake. There's no reason to. It would just be bullshit. It would be posturing and grandstanding without any actual result, and it would look like they're wasting their time. If they win the midterms, then they should get down to brass tacks and actually craft legislation, especially on censorship, blocking gun control, blocking tax increases, things that actually matter, as opposed to this grandstanding Hollywood crap that they keep doing. Joshua Sanfilippo, I was born in Florida and lived here my whole life. Very happy about that. I'm torn. I'm not sure who I'd vote for in the likely 2024 primary between Trump and DeSantis. DeSantis was also my U.S. House rep. I would support Trump, partially because I'm reluctant to predict that DeSantis will run. I know it looks like he's gearing up towards it, but maybe he just wants to be America's governor. If he took up a running mate slot on the ticket, I think that would be a winning ticket. Push Pence out, get DeSantis in. At this point, Pence wouldn't even want the job. I think there's too much bad blood. Burger Time 72. What are your thoughts on Kenneth Anger in the scheme of occult history? I don't really have many thoughts about him. I haven't actually researched that much regarding him. I'm much into much older material. Large Paw. Your thoughts on Nasara and Gesara, the currencies dinar, dong, Zimbabwe bonds, etc., that are happening as we speak? I don't know. I don't have any thoughts whatsoever. The dinar and the dong, are they like collapsing or rising or something? Happens all the time. The Human Centipede. Other day, I was driving and saw someone with a Feel the Burn sticker, and 2 people in it were wearing masks. I felt proud to be a clanker after that. Well, you should, because being a clanker is a good thing. And being a burnout at this point is just embarrassing. Like, the dude grifted and made a huge amount of money and got a bunch of attention and ultimately has literally accomplished nothing. Biden's thrown the left completely under the bus, and some of these people continue to suck his cock. And it's just pathetic at this point. They're losers. They lost. Not only did they lose the primary with Bernie, then Bernie sold them under the bus. Opinionated Junkie. DeSantis barely won Florida governorship. I don't know. Yeah, but he's become a lot more popular since then, but on a national level. So that could be, potentially an impetus to mount a campaign. Can he beat Trump? I don't think he would. I think Trump would win. I think DeSantis would likely be offered the VP slot, and I think that would be a definite winning ticket. I would vote for him. I'd vote for Trump DeSantis. I'd vote for in a heartbeat. Crusader Saracen. Didn't DeSantis already say if Trump runs in 2024, he won't split the voter base by running against him? Do you see rhinos trying to primary Trump again? Well, they might, but it wouldn't work. There's not a single rhino Republican who would have the ability to prevent Trump from being the nominee. They would have to resort to shenanigans like in 2012 when they blocked Ron Paul from even being able to speak, and that would collapse their ticket and ensure the Democrats win. Basically, the only way I see the Dems pulling it off in 24, if Trump's there, is if the Republicans decide to implode. But there aren't many rhinos left. Trump's approval within the GOP is higher than Ronald Reagan's still. I just don't think it's likely. I think the McConnells of the party would muzzle all of the rhino cons. Trails. You have mentioned several times in the past the Democratic Party would be more palatable, actually, if they adopted the policies of JFK. Could you clarify? Well, for one thing, not constantly being obsessed with driving people apart. Like even just the optics of their speeches is usually divisive. Whereas JFK was more like a come-together person. Now, Biden tried that, but you got to walk the walk a little bit, not just talk the talk. And they need someone in there who's like not geriatric, who's actually got some charisma. Not going to unite anyone with some idiot like Biden or some psycho like Kamala. Cold Summer 91. Don't you love all the memes that have come out during the pandemic? My favorite are the Tiger King and SpongeBob ones. Yeah, the pandemic is definitely meme-worthy. You had Corona-chan there for a while, but it didn't last as long as Ebola-chan. I don't know why. Ebola was a flash in the pan compared to what COVID has accomplished. Tommy DiMattina, thanks for all the great videos every day. You the man, Styx. Thank you very much. John McKinney, a lot of Trump supporters want Donald Trump to pick Candace Owens for VP. No one can call him racist and sexist for it. Would you still vote for him? Yeah, but I don't think that'd be a good pick. It's not going to win him any favors. It's not going to magically make, that would be like what the Democrats do. It's tokenism. It's like having Kamala Harris there. It's not because of her qualifications or because she was popular. It's because of the color of her skin and her genitals. It would look like it's pandering, and it wouldn't work. The Republicans shouldn't stoop to that level because it's not going to help them. Mikhalvik, hey Styx, heard you mention Kratom a while back. I have read some studies concluding it does more bad than good. Is it big pharma propaganda? Cheers. Disclaimer, this is not legal or medical advice, but my understanding is that it's helped a very large number of people kick the habit. It's sort of like vaping. Vaping is nicotine. You shouldn't be imbibing it. But if you're already addicted to nicotine, it's better than smoking. This is an objective fact. Putting smoke into your lungs is worse for you than vaping the nicotine in a flavored water vapor, unless it causes popcorn lungs. We're cheap and got it from China or India or something. The same is true of Kratom. It is potentially addictive. It is potentially harmful. Is it less addictive and harmful than heroin? Yeah. And if it can help someone kick the habit, that is a good thing, not a bad thing. God, it keeps jumping over and over. Jesus Christ. Dean DeSoto, to what extent do you believe secret societies take part in all the psyops currently being played out and orchestrate all the nonsense we're presented? Very little. What happens is actually those secret societies are a convenient boogeyman for people who are totally normal, like irreligious or marginal liberal Christians or Jews or whatever, to put the blame on the Masons or some other group that doesn't have anything to do with it. It's propaganda, really, is what it is. They've done this to occultists. They did this with witches. Oh, everyone's getting sick? No, it's not because of poor rye harvest. It's because of witchcraft. Matthew Robert Witherspoon, the Second Amendment was created to make revolution constitutional. It is our right as American people to force to remove corrupt officials. Well, yeah, but I mean, you can get arrested for shooting public officials. What it was really created is to put the potential use of arms in the hands of the people. That doesn't mean that every time that they're pissed off, they have the right to take up arms and start lynching people. That's obviously not what it was about. Joshua Sanfilippo. On BitChute, I have 0 subs and 50 to 100 views per video. On YouTube, I have 32 subs and 10 to 20 views per video. Any tips for growth? One thing about BitChute is the tagging feature. A lot of people don't even know it exists. You have to go into the settings on each video and use hashtags to tag them. I've talked to Ray multiple times about the need to include that on the upload page. Until then, that's probably the greatest advice. That, and on YouTube, promulgate your BitChute channel, and then also cross-link your YouTube channel on BitChute if you want to grow there. Crusader Saracen, with Mansion Cinema saving their own skin, do you see Biden actually passing horrific legislation before the Republicans sweep in the next midterms? No. And that's a great thing. No, I think that he's going to try to do what Obama did when he was hogtied and try to legislate via executive order. He's doing that right now. A.G. Garland, is suing the state of Georgia over its voter ID law. It's clearly not going to hold up in court before SCOTUS. I have a feeling the AG's case will be thrown out. But this is the best he can do because he's not getting any cooperation by the legislature. And I support that, by the way. That obstruction is justified based on the kind of things, the kind of proposals the Democrats are making. It's clearly voter ID is popular. The idea of federalizing the elections is not. Weaponizing the Attorney General's office to try to go after Georgia is unacceptable. And so it'll be basically the judiciary versus Biden for this foreseeable future. Opinionated Junkie, call-out channels made Crowder mention sub count. I don't know what that's in reference to. Crusader Saracen, you should get Streamlabs so Google don't get money. Yeah, I know, but I couldn't figure out how to set it up. I don't want to have to do a bunch of manual encoding bullshit and take a bunch of links and pop them into 5 different fucking windows because I couldn't get it to work. I tried this with what was it? I can't remember, OBS or something. I couldn't get it to work. It wouldn't function. It wouldn't let me stream. I did the best that I could. I'm using StreamYard. It works fine. As far as stability, that's fine. And by the way, I don't have a problem with Google getting some money if it's hosting live streaming content because it does take bandwidth and therefore money. And the amount that they take isn't draconian or anything. I'm getting the lion's share of it. Robbie Thompson, have you heard about Crystal and Sagar? If so, what are your thoughts on their news reporting? No, I don't know who those are. Richard Ryan, why didn't Trump mention the political prisoners from January 6th? Some legal reason? Probably. That's an ongoing case, and it would be inappropriate for him to comment on it. See, he has that restraint. They tried to pressure him to comment on Rittenhouse and disavow him, and he refused. And they said that that was a tacit endorsement of white supremacy. That's because it's an ongoing case. Most of these people aren't even in on major charges. They're like basic trespassing, vandalism, and stuff like that. They're going to get slaps on the wrist. The first person to be sentenced got probation, to be clear, in the January mostly peaceful but fiery protests. The human centipede. I eagerly await the day Biden walks out onto the podium or onto the White House lawn naked. How do you think the MSM would spin it to protect him? And say that it's the new style. He embraces nudism and it's some sort of progressive LGBT thing. Richard Ryan, $2.99, no comment, thank you. Cold Summer 91, do you think the next election will be fair? Well, I mean, if the states keep overhauling the election system, yeah, like requiring ID to get a mail-in vote. But that's another thing that the AG is suing over. Well, I mean, if you have to show an ID to get the paper ballot in person, why not show an ID to get the fucking mail-in ballot? It just makes goddamn sense. The states have the right to impose those reasonable restrictions on voting. It's not preventing any legal citizen from going to the polls. Anna One Fister. I used Kratom to kick an H habit. Been taking Kratom daily for years now. No health issues. Much better than methadone or Suboxone. Well, that's good. You should try to wean yourself off the Kratom if you're capable of it, though. There's no reason to be reliant on that either. Darun Albane, a fiver for you. A question from Raging Golden Eagle. Balls or no balls? I don't know what that means, but I'll just say balls because I'm male. It's probably the wrong answer, but it's probably a hilarious meme. Matthew Hammond, why does BitChute, Rumble, InfoWars, and other sites not release web browsers as Play and App Store apps with the start page being their optimized site? I don't know why. You'd have to ask them, but developing things takes a long time. The problem is, as far as browsers go, there's like 5 of them that everyone uses, and it's kind of hard for anyone to break through and make a new one. There's still people who use Firefox, just to be clear. Greg Alt, which Black Sabbath album is your favorite? All of them. I literally couldn't choose a favorite because I don't think I've heard a song by Black Sabbath that I didn't like. John McKinney, would you debate Kyle Kulinski / Secular Talk? Maybe, but I think he already ruled that out with the idea that I was a Holocaust denier, supposedly. I think he was actually questioned on a live stream once about that. I don't like to talk to disingenuous people who are either lying about me or don't have the time to fact check and just take what they see on Rational Wiki seriously. It's not worth my time because I prefer to talk to people that are intelligent. Jackson C. Do you have any expectations for the Maricopa County audit? Apparently, the real vote totals are being released this Monday. It'll be probably a nothing burger. People need to understand that if shenanigans occurred, you're not going to find proper evidence of that. And anything that's speculative, it'll get dogpiled by the legacy media so thoroughly. Like, Biden's people aren't going to investigate further because Biden doesn't want the result change. The Democrats aren't going to believe any audit results because they've already been primed to believe it's bullshit. So it doesn't change anyone's mind. People that think that there were shenanigans think they're shenanigans. People that don't. It means nothing. People should do something. People should be organizing and knocking on doors and putting up stickers and billets and running for office and joining local organizations and overthrowing school boards and town councils right now. That's what to focus on until the midterms. Nuxmaster 368. The electoral rules would prevent a Trump-DeSantis ticket. Can't pick two people from the same state. I think a Trump-Sununu ticket would be better. That's debatable because Trump only recently changed his residency. I'm not sure how that might play in. That being said, if DeSantis truly is ruled out bothering to run if Trump runs, that wouldn't be a problem. Sununu is all right. I'm not a huge fan of Sununu. It'd be funny if you pick Phil Scott. Then he'd lose. Robodad, is groupthink a manifestation tool used by the government? Yeah, creating an in and out, an us versus them. I mean, it's explicit within a two-party system. CVRS SB Die. I wish people would call out Biden lying during his gun control speech. There was no legal control on cannons in the time of the Constitution. Correct. But the thing is that the legacy media won't call Biden out because they just assume it's either a gaffe or they just bob their heads politely. They're never going to call him out on anything. Crusader Saracen, been a fan of yours for years. God fucking speed. God fucking clank. Need a little bit of a mashup there. The Great Awakening, thank you for what you do. Thank you for the donation. Jumped again. YouTube, what I wish the YouTube would have is a little thing like it has top chat and live chat. Why isn't there one for just super chats? That would make it a lot easier on me for the purposes of Q&A. I guess they figured that everyone only has like 20 people watching him like Biden so they can keep up. Stefan Channel. Hey Styx, can you do an extended video on why you think America is just going through growing pains? Also, what makes you so confident that we're winning? Oh, we clearly are. We got a brief Indian summer under Trump. Now we're back in the bad times temporarily, but everything's on the up and up. Now, the economy is shuddering right now, but I don't think it'll be a Great Depression. I just think it's like Jimmy Carter 2.0, which means then we have morning in America again. Gary Thomas, how do you think the DOJ suing Georgia will end? With Georgia winning. I don't think the DOJ has a case to stand on. And I think one of the provisions in their lawsuit, doesn't it just simply allege that some of the people that voted for the law voted against, what was it? I can't remember, recognizing the insurrection or whatever it was, something like that. And it's like, it's not even really a legal argument. It's just grandstanding political hype. Joshua Sanfilippo. As a libertarian conservative, I'm against public funding of education, and I believe core classes are more important than the arts. But as a private school band director, I know it's hard to get funding. I don't actually have a problem with a public education system as long as it leaves out all of the psychoanalytic bullshit and propaganda, like 1 + 1 = 2. There doesn't need to be a cultural debate about it. For those purposes, see, the problem is if you don't have a public education system or subsidies for private education, which basically does the same thing, I guess you can make an argument for that, you would have intergenerational poverty. Well, that violates the NAP. If you're taking a kid who's not even a full citizen and depriving them of even the ability of having that basic foundation for the rest of their life, you're disenfranchising them, so I wouldn't support that. If you mean moving to an all-private system that's subsidized for those who can't afford it themselves, yeah, you can make that argument. Opinionated Junkie, the Young Turks versus Jimmy. Turks taking L's. First Dave, now Jimmy. Yeah, the Young Turks are on hard times right now. They keep getting their shit shoved in. But the Clankers shoved them in years ago during the midterms when the Democrats lost in a spectacular fashion and Cenk was having a meltdown over all the spoons in chat. Mikkelvo, also, sorry if I missed it. Any thoughts on Chauvin's sentence? 22 years and what comes next? I think it's a miscarriage of justice. Chauvin did not murder George Floyd. George Floyd overdosed on fentanyl. It's quite clear. It's being appealed. I would expect a fairly high likelihood that the appeal works. But they're not going to do it anytime soon. They'll drag it out because they don't want to cause riots. This is an example of them throwing a book at a person in order to prevent Wendy's from burning down, which makes no sense because immediately, like Keith Ellison comes out, it's not enough. We still need to defund the police. Josh and Jesus, I don't understand why people support police. They're just another big bloated government institution with too much power in our lives. Partially. I certainly believe in police reform that starts with decriminalizing all victimless crimes and moving to a white-collar style punishment for white-collar crimes. A person should not even be in jail for a crime unless it's specifically violent and significant. If it's insignificant or it's non-violent, restitution and community service should be the only things employed. Basically, jails should only be for incarcerating a person for a day or two because they're a threat to themselves or others because they're like massively out of their mind on drugs or something, and should basically just be a rehab facility with armed guards. That's basically what they should be. 9/10 of the people that are in prison probably shouldn't be there. You think that it's mostly people who rape people or serial killers or something? Nope. And just think, so if someone steals a car and they go to the same prison as Manny the Murderer, what does that tell society? Life and service. What is your opinion on the fourth turning? I have none. Anna One Fister. Fist and F1, I don't know, F1 5S and nukes. Nukes are cool. By the way, we should have recreational McNukes. Ryan McKenna, as a proponent of disengaging from systems we rely on for survival, do you see an exodus back to farm living, or are the cities salvageable? Other than land, what are we doing to get ahead of the curve? Yeah, there are a lot of people moving back out, further away from cities, but a lot of that is just the suburbs keep sprawling and sprawling because of house development. Most of the rural land has already been claimed. All you can do is subdivide it, and that has its own problems. Like, I suppose adding a trust to the land is the best thing to do, like so it doesn't get subdivided infinitely and start looking like Vietnam or something. Crusader Saracen, your dedication to the alter ego living in the Netherlands bit is amazing, Razor Fist. Opinionated Junkie, call out channels mad Crowder brought up sub count. Oh, they're mad? Yeah, Crowder has a huge amount of subs. Sub count does matter, although I will say this. Technically, time usage matters more than sub count. As we've seen, like he'll have Associated Press has millions of subscribers, but they struggle to get a couple thousand views on a video. Well, then it doesn't matter how many subscribers they have. There's no engagement. Nobody's watching the actual material. Suing Sation, random question. Do you ever associate a certain song to a year? For example, Love Skulfage's 3-2C reminds me of 2020 because of the Medicare live streams. Huh. Not a particular year, but a particular era, like the 80s or the early 2000s or something, I suppose. Crusader Saracen, clearly the MSM is afraid of DeSantis already. Do you see him getting Me Too'd in the near future? Oh, they might try. They seem to do it to every other person who's like, to the right of Chairman Mao. Remember Kavanaugh? Joel G, I hope those Hawaiian shirts are silk. Cotton Hawaiian shirts are cringe. Linen passes. Yeah, these are the cheaper kind. Some of them are cotton, some are rayon or something, and some are silk. I prefer the vintage ones, generally speaking. Jaco Slapbass. Is there credible evidence for the Western aristocracy and financial elite secretly being involved in satanic practices? No. There are some artsy-fartsy people that do mock-ups because they're cringe, basically. It's sort of like going to a Halloween party for rich, boring people who just want to get screwed. Jumped again. It always jumps. Jesus Christ. Marty McGill, Trump on Rumble is huge. Twitter is probably shaking in their stinky shoes. Well, YouTube probably more than Twitter. By the way, yes, to anyone watching now that wasn't here at the outset, Trump is now on Rumble. You should definitely get an account there. You should be on all the new tech sites. That's the future. What we're doing even right here now is the past. They're sanitizing YouTube constantly. Like half the videos, you can't even see the number of likes anymore because content gets ratioed so badly. By the way, you should subscribe to pages like MSNBC on YouTube and just downvote everything that they make. That's what I do. I do top comment sniping usually as well. Kevin Street, Floyd, seethe and breathe. Cold Summer 91, if by any chance Joe Exotic got out of prison and ran for president, he would do this. He was planning on running in 2020. Do you think he'd get far? No, it'd be a joke campaign. Be a funny one, though. But I expect he'll serve his full sentence because the woman he had a dust up with is basically like Hillary Clinton, so you know how that works. Simple Logic 90, do you think Trump should run again, or do you prefer DeSantis? I like Trump, but DeSantis is younger, way more well-spoken, and is walking the walk and talking the talk. Well, I don't have enough of a sample to know that he'll continue to walk the walk, but I know Trump will because he's already been there. I would prefer Trump, ultimately. And I think he'd win. And look at who he'd be running against. Psycho Kamala, probably. Suicidal Socrates. I'm a conservative. I'm considering moving to Pittsford from Philly. Would you recommend this or condemn it? Neither, but I think you're better off looking at New Hampshire. Same climate, similar culture and everything, but you've got the free state movement. You have a lot less gun control at this point, lower taxes. New Hampshire is the superior version of Vermont. Gesundheit. President Joe Biden, can I smell your hair? I'd like to smell your hair. Well, I'm not like 10 years old, so we know that it's not the real Joe Biden. Also, he does it to old people. The human centipede, do you think that Biden is currently, or by the end of this term, will be the worst U.S. president in our lifetime? Possibly. He's already definitely on the low end. Let's see. Actually, I'm trying to think. Technically, you can kind of sort of you can sort of say W was worse. Biden hasn't started a war yet, for instance, although he might be trying to revamp Afghanistan. We'll wait and see if he starts a war or has a Katrina moment. We'll wait for that before the jury's still out. But he's definitely, I mean, he's not nearly as good as Trump. He's worse than Clinton. He's certainly worse than Reagan. Shrekflix exclusive. Hey, Styx, when possible, check out John McAfee's Twitter account and look at his connections with Britbong Log Poster. He passed a dead man switch to him according to one of the tweets. Yeah, that might be a joke, but that'd be absolutely hilarious. Imagine that a log poster ends up like cracking the deep state apart because of a dead antivirus software creator. Gel Mibson, do you have a Rolex? Woo! Joshua San Filippo, last super chat for me today. Gotta go get ready for church. Last question, will we ever get Elder Scrolls 6? Thanks for all you do. Yeah, it's in the works already. It's already in planning. Same with Fallout 5, which I'm excited for. I know some people hated Fallout 4. I liked it. It's just that you can't look at it as an RPG. You have to look at it as an open world first-person shooter. If you look at it that way, like being sort of a Grand Theft Auto style game, it's amazing. Really great. If you look at it as an RPG, it sucked. Same with Skyrim. Crusader Saracen, do you think the Dems will try to primary out Kamala in 2024? She seems unpopular even within the party, and everyone knows Trump will kill her brutally. They might try, but then they run the risk of looking racist and sexist. They might not be able to. The leftoids might cling on to her and refuse to let her go. She might, by the way, ultimately, they'd probably give her a payoff and have her step out. But then you have a non-incumbent situation. Then you have no incumbent giving Trump the advantage because he's been president before. You'd be handing him a de facto incumbent advantage. It's a lose-lose for the Democrats, I think, in 2024. Christopher Hill, $10, no comment, thank you. Richard Ryan, Styx, I missed your answer about the non-mention of the January 6th prisoners. Yeah, I think it's sad that he didn't mention them, but I think the reasoning is the same as why he wouldn't comment on Rittenhouse initially. And that's because he doesn't want to skew any jury. He knows if he weighs in, and then people start getting minor sentences, which the first person sentence just got probation, then people will blame him. Oh my God, Trump skewed the jury. Trump skewed the prosecution. Trump skewed everything. It's Trump's fault. See, Trump caused the problem. By not weighing in, Trump can sit back, and of course the prosecution has to take its lumps. Of course, that involves Biden's people, and so Trump comes out smelling like a rose by failing to give them ammo. Omega Blade, coworker thinks Texas will flip blue next election. I don't think so. It'd be more likely that New Mexico flips red, in my opinion. Charles Warrington. Hey, Styx, big-time fan and still a fresh libertarian. I have a question about CRT and how does it affect the black community in your opinion? Well, it's bad for everyone. Anything that is harmful to the basic civic concept of Western civilization is harmful to the United States, and part of the population is black. Critical race theory is basically a deflection anyway. It's a way of not doing anything productive and thinking that you're doing something productive. So it's not going to address widespread inner city crime because it identifies a bunch of white people as living 1,000 miles away as the problem and the reason, which is clearly not the case. Titan Raven's car, hey, Styx, start an OnlyFans and do your level best to get censored off the platform. It'll be hilarious. Yeah, I could troll them, do an OnlyFans, and then, take money for exclusive content, and then it's just me, flipping off a Hillary Clinton pin or something like that. I'd probably do that. make a little bit of money in the process. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll attack OnlyFans. Clankers can get on board. Billy Bosco, if and when we become capable of bringing back extinct species, should we? Do you consider that playing God or just an inevitable step in science? I actually made a video on de-extinction. I support it, but only if you bring enough of those animals back at once so they can have camaraderie. Because you'd think you'd bring one mammoth back and have it in a cage, how sad that would be. It's like the only mammoth's like, just let me be extinct at some point. De-extinction has certain ethical guidelines, I think, along with it. Unless it's like a lower functioning being, like a spider or something, you should definitely bring back batches of these creatures at the same time, and also have them reared by their nearest possible relative. So a mammoth would be born of elephants, part of an elephant group, and you'd have, you know, a bunch of different mammoths. Then they sever from that group, form their own. You'd have to avoid inbreeding. You'd have to do a lot of gene splicing. Jibbo Zivit, why would you go to the Viva Barnes sidebar again when you already went there as your Razor Fist persona? Yes, I will actually be doing a sidebar not long from now, although it had to be pushed ahead a little bit. It's, I think, is it next Friday, if I remember correctly, so on the 2nd of July, I think. Don't quote me on that. I'm terrible with dates and times. Thomas Finton, has there been any news in regards to the development of a streaming service for BitChute? Also, do you feel that eventually Trump will jump to other platforms like BitChute, Minds, or less so Parler or Gab? Parler, probably. Gab, unlikely, because of Torba's particular views regarding Zionism, really. Probably not BitChute because it's British. Possibly Odyssey, although unlikely because he's already on Rumble. And Minds, of course, is an older platform. I don't know if Trump would be aware of it. I think he should get on them all. But with his particular kind of content creation, of course, more on the public official than side that I would be on as far as analysis and stuff, it might not make sense. It may make more sense to be on 1 or 2 sites as opposed to many. Henkin, what's your opinion on naturism and nudism? I have no problem with it. I have no problem with human nudity. I'm not a moralist. We're all nude at birth, and we're all nude when we're dead. You know, we're all nude inside of our clothes. You're all naked inside of your clothes, loose-moraled individuals. Mickelvo, I've been reading up on the CRT. How do educated people who fought for civil rights become proponents of something they fought against? Derek Bell. Yeah, it's definitely true. It's literally opposed to the basic concept of the civil rights movement, which actually accomplished things. But the thing is, CRT is not meant to accomplish anything. It's a grift. It's for people to sell books. Dweez Droid Breeze Boys. Well, hello. George Soros. I gotta stop Styx. He's ruining my plans. John McKinney. If 2024 were Candace Owens versus Kamala Harris, Candace has charisma. Kamala has none. Thus, Candace would win by default. What do you think? Well, Kamala would be closer to an incumbent, so that's a basic advantage. Candace Owens may have charisma, but I don't see her even necessarily wanting to go into public policy. She probably affects more people doing activism and the tech thing. This is what I feel like. People have encouraged me to make a serious run for office as opposed to like joking about wanting to be governor of Vermont. But if I were to do that, I'd have so many responsibilities. I'd have to throttle back everything else that I do. And I feel like the governor of Vermont reaches like fucking 200 people on a live stream. Here we are with 1,600 here, and it's just a goddamn Q&A. I feel like I've got more impact in the world than many politicians do. Lev Polyakov, been looking forward to having Styx on BreakTheRules.tv this Tuesday with Brittany Venti. Yes, that is true. That in a few days here on Tuesday the 29th, I will be going on there as well. Sheepdog117, will Michael Leroy Bird ever be tried for killing Ashley Babbitt? No, it's already been dropped basically as an issue. Should be. She was unarmed at the time. And under other, say, if Ashley Babbitt were black, there'd be charges. And if it were at a BLM protest or something, there'd be charges. I fail to see the big difference. It's funny because the same people saying defund the police are acting like that particular individual is a hero. It's bullshit. John Hoyle, bravo for being tweeted by the last legitimate U.S. president. Yes, remember that one of my Daily Motion videos, which is hilarious that they chose the Daily Motion iteration, was retweeted actually by Donald Trump himself on his official account before he was so rudely destroyed by what's his name, Jack Dorsey. He's very forgettable. Sorry about that. Large Ennis, are you tempted to turn on ads on YouTube for money? No, I took the no ad pledge like 10 years ago. I will never have ads on my material voluntarily. If you see any, that's YouTube putting them on there themselves. You shouldn't click them. You should ignore them. And you should use AdBlock Plus and NoScript, by the way, on my videos and other people's videos. The Human Centipede, I just recently heard that tomatoes aren't good for you and they're called the poisonous apple. Do you know anything about this or anything more? No, tomatoes are very good for you. But they used to think they're poisonous because they're a member of the nightshade family. And tomato greens are actually toxic, but the tomatoes themselves, especially for men, they should eat tomatoes because of prostate cancer. It helps to, supposedly there's an acid in it that helps to prevent that. I eat a lot of tomatoes, so, things are working fine. Don Jandro, Latinos for Trump. My friend introduced me to your content and I'm loving it. Keep up the good work, Styx. Well, thank you very much. Everyone for Trump. Trump 2024 coming around the bend, I hope. Christopher Hill, where is your goddamn coffee? Keep clanking and keep up the good work. And thank you for the content. Clank, clank. Yeah, right now, actually, because, I make my morning videos, so by this time of day, you get a little bit more hoarse. This is just lemon water. It's just half a lemon squeezed into cold water. Delicious. These days, I make my coffee with milk instead of water anyway, so it's a little bit different than it used to be. I figure that I'm getting a little extra calcium and shit. Josh and Jesus, does it feel weird that Trump knows who you are? See, I doubt that. I think that his staff predominantly were doing that because it was a retweeting spree. I doubt that he himself watched my video. Probably it was just related to the topic. I can't remember what the topic was. Something about how Biden had been completely manhandled by Trump, I think pertinent to the third debate or something. And how Biden basically was acting like a big baby, if I remember correctly. Colin Oot, take my money for always speaking your mind. I will gladly take the money. Laszlo Nethers, $1, no comment. Thank you very much. Valuable Sandwich. I've seen no one recommending bands. Please find Progressive Overload on here or Bandcamp. Relevant, I promise. They deserve a bigger audience. Okay, we got Progressive Overload shouted out here, so people can check that out if they want. For the 1,700 people watching, 1,700 people more than watch the average Young Turks episode, I guess. Significantly more than Joe Biden gets, except for the most major addresses. I'm going to talk about this briefly before I get into the last super chats here. I find it hilarious. Donald Trump gets on Rumble, and less than 24 hours later, he's pulling in six-figure stream audiences. He's got now, getting up towards 200,000 subscribers, and Joe Biden can't accomplish jack shit. And by the way, this is sort of like the first few people that got onto social media, like in the older days, like mid-2000s, YouTube's young and stuff, reaped huge rewards. This is why for the last few years I've done so much to become big on alt tech, or new tech I call it now. I think Trump's making the right decision. I think that the lame streamers are going to regret the fact that they're not on the modern wave of technology. I think they're assuming that the big tech sites will just forever be able to use their vertical monopoly to censor all competitors. It's not what's going to happen. Car, have you heard of Abbott's new heartbeat bill making it illegal to abort after 4 weeks? Thoughts and advice for Texans? Love your videos. I want a mug. I am pro-choice. I oppose the heartbeat bill. You can make an argument for partial birth abortions, but certainly any time within the first trimester, I think that's bullshit. And by the way, this is technically a biblical argument. The Bible itself, New Testament, if I remember correctly, speaks of the quickening, and that God literally, if you believe in this stuff, that God breathes life into the infant at the time of the quickening, which is when the baby starts kicking. That doesn't happen at 4 weeks. So, take it or leave it. But I think the state should have nothing to do with it. As far as mugs and other merch coming down fast, I do have a group that I'm working with to create merchandise now. Azimuth Coordinator, do you think McAfee's 31 terabytes will be available to see? I have no clue what's going on with that. But remember, McAfee did not kill himself. To be clear, he was probably murdered. Just like Epstein, probably connected in some way. Josh and Jesus, we're not winning if the military has gone woke. Don't let them kid you. It's just like when they do wokeness in schools. Those kids are not really being indoctrinated for the most part into wokeness. Really, they're rolling their eyes. They're just not saying anything about it. I would know. I went to school. Believe it or not. In the military, you're going to find a lot of staunch rock-ribbed patriotic people. They're going to take one look at the wokeness stuff. They're going to memorize it for the test, basically, and then they're going to forget it. It's horseshit. It's basically the left trying to win by getting you not to fight by demoralizing you at some point. The Arcadian 300. Violent crime is definitely caused by lockdowns. Here in gun-free Montreal, there are shootings every weekend now. They took our damn guns again. Yeah, the lockdownism caused a lot of crime and a lot of attendant problems too. Alcoholism, substance abuse, depression, suicide. Runaway Susie, what are your thoughts on the white positivity sphere? No white guilt, Jason Cohn, and Jared George, as compared to, say, a Richard Spencer or anything along lines. Yeah, I think it's fine to be white. Yeah, I'm white, so I would have a real big. If I thought that was a problem, then I'd have a problematic life. I think anytime someone's telling you to dislike yourself or distrust yourself or alter your behavior based on something nominal that you happen to be part of, they're not doing it for benevolent purposes. They're doing it for some selfish reason. Christopher Hill, message retracted at $5. I don't know whether YouTube did that or you. If YouTube did, you might be able to get a cash back. Yan G, another result of the social media boom is Zuck fortifying last year's election in more ways than one. Yeah, he's still trying that, but Facebook is only for boomers at this point. Nobody uses Facebook for any purpose other than messaging, or if they're old and they post cat pictures and shit. Everyone should delete their Facebook accounts unless they're in a situation like me where they have a major brand and they have a brand page so that nobody else can pretend to be them. That's basically the only reason I even have an account there. I never log into it. I can't remember the last time I did. David Duckbutter in third shift. I should be asleep. He's asleep on the job. Musako Ban. Styx, thoughts on nuclear war in our timeline? It's always a possibility. Fallout Real Life might have better graphics than Fallout 4 did. So, always look at the silver lining on every cloud, every mushroom cloud. Marty Cohn-Sohn, what do you think about long-haul COVID? Oh, yeah. I guess a long-haul COVID, I think, is the idea that people are like COVID is causing long-lasting psychological problems, if I remember correctly. I don't know. I think that we should ignore COVID at this point. It's endemic, and there's nothing we can do about it. Hell, now you've got the Delta variant plus or whatever the boogeyman term they're giving it, and get around the vaccine. Okay, well that was a lot of work for goddamn very little benefit, now wasn't it? Shaker Silver, Trump really dragged his feet when it came to getting on new tech. A year ago they censored him, and 6 months ago he was banned. What took him? Yeah, I do. I wish he had done it earlier. I really do. I think that he was hoping that these sites would show some degree of reason and restraint, and he was wrong. And initially he was planning to make his own launch. The problem is the way he went about it was wrong. The fact is he tried to do a comment-free blog format. That's just not what people want. Even on Rumble, like on the live stream, there's no comments there, it seems. Rumble should probably prevent him from doing that. Force him to have comments open. He's a former president of the United States. He can deal with a little criticism. Mostly it'd be glowing praise. I do wonder why he did that. The Brian Madigan, hey Styx, can we get a congrats to New South Wales for winning State of Origin? Oh well, congrats, I guess. Jebediah Kerman, revoked due to violating Wokeness Act of 2021. Oh no, they're here. Jeremy A.H., greetings from the woods of northern Wisconsin. You get my second super chat ever and my largest super chat. You deserve it. May liberty and freedom rise again. Cheers. Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. Up in Cheeseland there. Why is Wisconsin humor so bad? It's always cheesy. Colin Oot, have you ever studied or written about Scythians or Celtic mythology specifically? I've edited a couple of works that touched on the Celts. Not the Scythians, though. For some reason, I'd have to look that up and see if I can find something, but I haven't written anything on it. I've just edited. Most of my writings strictly have been about herbalism. And I've done some compilations which had expanded forwards, demonology, folklore, folk medicine, and a few alchemy and a few others. Skipped. Gail Mibson, do you see Weinstein on his meeting with Epstein? Eyes wide shot moment. I think you mean eyes wide shut. Do you support his theory? He was a construct of the intelligence scene, possibly. I think that the simple explanation is the best. Epstein was a pervert and had blackmail on a bunch of people, and they decided to kill him to keep it from getting out into the public. Jared Pierce, the White House YouTube accidentally left the comments on a Fauci video for about 30 minutes before they deleted about 1,000 glorious comments. Yeah, they keep closing down the ratings too. Why do you think YouTube has started doing that de facto for some channels? It's to protect Biden and people like him, the legacy media. Jack Perry, Trump's speech last night had MSM in the comment section pulling their hair out. Wow, that's all it took. Hate to be the spell check captain, lol. Yeah, all he has to do is appear in public to drive people nuts, and now that he's on Rumble, like, they can't silence him. Rumble's not going to ban him. Oh, it's going to be funny to see them try to stomp Rumble into the ground. I think it might be impossible at this point. Rumble may have grown too large. They're from 2013. They've got a lot of users. Jack, oh, that's the same one. Silver Kestrel. Hey, Styx, Tim Pool is still talking of civil war, and I'm starting to worry. If civil war does break out, what do you think it would look like? The chaos, but I don't think it's going to happen. Nobody really wants to. It's sort of like when people are like, well, we got to do something about this government, and then they just stay at home shitposting on Twitter. People are reluctant to engage in violence. Father of Man 25, much love, Styx. What are your most trusted sources for accurate, unbiased, freshest data, i.e. COVID issues like mask efficacy, lockdown, and so forth? 4chan's politically incorrect and RCP. RCP aggregates basically everything, including Substack articles from certain people, by the way. So it's very unbiased by and large. And then 4chan's politically incorrect. If you want to know what people really feel, go to a place where they can say it without fear of repercussion. John McKinney, if the GOP does end up impeaching Biden after the midterms, would the media have a meltdown? Bill Clinton's 99 impeachment is why Al Gore lost the 2000 election. No, well, Al Gore technically didn't lose, first and foremost. The impeachment of Clinton backfired spectacularly, and I think it'd be a waste of time because you can impeach, but you wouldn't have the votes to remove. And it'd be pointless. It'd be a floor show. Biden might not even be in there at the time anyway because he might have resigned or gotten 25th. Dude's demented. He'd be 80 years old. Kamala might be in charge. Oh, boy. They wouldn't want to impeach her. She'd make so many mistakes. They'd be like, oh, man. This is great. We don't even have to campaign anymore for 24. Charles Warrington, another question if you don't mind. Do you believe that defunding the police will incentivize police to patrol more wealthy and upper middle class areas than lower and urban areas? Yeah, it will. But they won't be given a choice. They'll be given wokeness training. Basically, it'll lead to mass resignations. They'll go to states or municipalities that aren't woke and they'll work there instead. I know I would. If I was a beat cop in some fucking woke city like Portland right now, I'd be planning to move to the hinterlands. I'd say, yeah, I'm taking a pay cut, but, I don't care. I'm not going to sit there and get shot up full of bullets, protecting people who don't even like me. Crusader Saracen, think this Delta variant will create lockdowns again, or are the people done with it for good? On NPR, they were openly strategizing how to do it again. Yeah, I know. They're trying, but mask mandates are beginning to end. The fear is beginning to wear off. People are going back to normal. I think once they get a taste of freedom again, by and large, they'll be reluctant to want to mask up forever. The Brian Madigan, Tommy Turbo is the GOAT of the blues. Ben Nagel, 9.99, no comment, thank you. Christopher Hill, Beijing Biden 2024, flush the turd, Trump 2024. Denine-S, thoughts on Biden suggesting a climate lockdown? Yeah, he's nuts. It's not going to happen anyway. He doesn't have legislative authority to do jack shit. He doesn't have control of the Senate, barely has a House majority. Half of those people don't even like him all the time. Jack Perry, how Canada got its name? Founding fathers randomly drew letters out of a hat. C-N-E-D-E. Dumb, but they got poutine, and it's tasty. Never tried it, actually. Giovanni Carrion, Geo for short. Did you see the Alex Jones and Maj Tour podcast? It was great. What's your take on Santeria, Puerto Rican black magic, basically? I've heard of it. I haven't studied it in any great depth. I think all black magic is cool myself. It's also a great subject for songs. Azimuth Coordinator, Styx, how are you prepared for the cyber polygon? I don't know what that is, so I guess I'm unprepared. All right. I think don't send any more super chats because we're going up on 55 minutes anyway. Like, I'm sure there'll be a couple more that get through anyway. But if you haven't already sent it in, just blank it out till next week maybe. I figured, again, I wanted to recap for people. It's important that you get on Rumble and other new tech sites. Trump is now there. By the way, Newsmax actually just joined BitChute as well the other day, which is why I did my shout out video this morning. You should be on these platforms. These are the new wave of tech. It's not just all tech anymore. They are innovating. You're getting streaming. You're getting better bandwidth. You're certainly getting more site stability, and they're growing rapidly, all of them. Also Odyssey, Gab, and Parler, Minds. Subscribestar, it works great. It's basically Patreon that won't ban you. So keeping that in mind, I'm a little biased because I'm big on all these sites, but you know, it's funny, even though fighting with 2 arms and a leg behind my back, I can still get as many views as the Young Turks do on a live stream, just for Q&A. Keeping that in mind, I think I'm set up for the next decade of content creation. Last couple of super chats here, and then I'll end it. Well, technically 4. Christopher Hill, will you be making any more MRE cooking videos anytime soon? Possibly. There's some more MRE stuff around here, mostly Swedish. Ben Nagel, hey Styx, I'm currently living with my Christian aunt and uncle, who are Christians. They are pressuring me into Christianity. As an occultist, how do I manage this while trying to share my perspective? Choose your battles. Maybe you don't bother to talk to them about it because they'll just get mad and you're living with them. You know, when in another's lair, don't bother them. That doesn't mean you have to go to church or anything. You can read the Bible. You can always also pretend to convert or something. I always take it up. When people try to convince me to convert, and they're like, yeah, but it's good for you. You know, I want to see you in heaven. And I'm like, okay, point taken. That's really nice of you to say, but I just can't bring myself to believe in your particular path. I don't have any compelling evidence it's right. I don't have any problem with them practicing their religion. In my own opinion, I just can't bring myself in good faith to lie to them and say, okay, I'm a Christian now and praise Jesus or something. Source, if voter ID for POTUS election is racist, then ID, background check, and tax stamp for a short-barreled rifle is Jim Crow. Oh, yeah, gun crow. Freudian slip, I suppose. Gun control did originate with Jim Crow, specifically with the Cruikshank decision. That's actually true. You're completely correct. John Flynn, $1. No comment, thank you. And last one, Ice Poll, put towards your next MRE. Now, thank you. I'd like to get a couple more vegetarian MREs. Usually, because they have to season them more, they usually taste better. All right. Well, I'm going to go off now because we're running up on an hour anyway. I thank you all for participating, both Super Chats and non-Super Chats. And, of course, live chat replay will be there for posterity. Unless YouTube decides to shit all over me, which could happen at any given time. Yeah, Gun Crow, I think, should become a meme at this point. But, yeah. Over 2,000 people watching at peak. That's more than Biden gets. It's more than the Young Turks get. So Clankdom reigns supreme once again. That's about all. Peace out.